Joy was a gentle girl who had known pain too early in life. Her mother died when she was only 10, leaving her in the care of her father, who loved her deeply. But 2 years later, her father remarried a woman named Madame Clara, a beautiful yet heartless woman who came into their lives with sweet smiles that soon turned bitter. When Joy's father fell sick and died, everything changed. Clara's kindness disappeared like smoke in the wind. She called Joy useless, made her sleep on the floor, and forced her to do all the housework. Every morning, Joy would wake up before sunrise, fetch water, sweep the compound, and prepare breakfast for Clara and her 2 spoiled daughters, Tina and Vera. Still, Joy never complained. She prayed every night for things to get better. But instead of mercy, her stepmother's cruelty grew stronger. One hot afternoon, Clara sat on the veranda fanning herself, her gold earrings shining in the sun. Her friend, Madame Rose, came to visit. They began to gossip, laughing about money and marriage. "Clara," Rose said, lowering her voice, "you should marry off that poor girl. She's already 17. Maybe she can bring something into the house." Clara smirked. "Who would want a poor orphan like Joy? She has no dowry, no class, nothing." Rose leaned closer. "There's a crippled beggar at the village gate. They say he is looking for someone to help him, maybe a wife. Why not give him Joy? That will remove her burden from your neck." Clara's eyes lit up wickedly. "That's a brilliant idea. A crippled beggar and that useless girl, what a perfect match," she laughed. The next morning, Joy was in the kitchen washing dishes when Clara walked in. "Joy!" she barked. Joy quickly stood up. "Yes, Ma." "Wipe that fake innocent look off your face," Clara hissed. "You are getting married." Joy froze. "Married? To whom?" Clara crossed her arms. "To the man waiting at the village gate. You should thank me, at least someone wants you." Tears filled Joy's eyes. "But Ma, I don't even know him. I'm too young to marry now." Clara slapped her hard. "Silence. Do you think you have a choice? You are an orphan. You eat my food, live in my house, and now you'll do as I say." That night, Joy cried silently in her small corner. The moonlight fell across her thin face, revealing eyes full of fear and sadness. She prayed again, asking God to save her from what awaited. The next morning, Clara forced her to wear an old torn gown. Tina and Vera laughed cruelly as they watched Joy walk barefoot out of the compound. Madame Clara led the way, holding Joy's arm tightly. When they reached the village gate, a man sat under a tree, dirty, wearing rags, and with a crutch by his side. His name was Daniel, the crippled beggar everyone avoided. His legs were twisted, but his eyes were calm and wise. Clara smiled wickedly. "Here she is, the girl I promised you." Daniel looked up at Joy. Their eyes met for a brief moment, and something in his gentle stare made Joy's heart stop. It was not pity or pride, it was kindness. Joy bowed her head, tears running down her cheeks. Clara pushed her forward. "From today, you belong to him." "I have no daughter anymore." Villagers gathered around, whispering and laughing. "The poor orphan is marrying a cripple," they mocked. Joy felt her world falling apart. But Daniel spoke softly, his voice calm and deep. "Don't cry, young lady. You don't deserve this humiliation. I will take care of you in my own little way." His words surprised her. Even in his pain, he showed her more compassion than anyone else ever had. As Clara left, laughing with her friends, Joy stood beside Daniel, frightened but strangely at peace. She didn't know that the man she was forced to marry was hiding a secret that would one day change both their lives forever. The villagers laughed for days after the strange wedding. They called Joy names, the cripple's bride, the cursed orphan. But Joy didn't answer anyone. She walked beside Daniel quietly, her heart heavy and her eyes filled with tears. Daniel lived in a small mud house at the edge of the village. The roof leaked when it rained, and the walls were cracked. Inside, there was only one bed made of bamboo and a small stool. Joy stood there, unsure what to do. Daniel noticed her fear. "You can sit, Joy," he said gently. "This is now your home. I know it's not much, but you'll never be mistreated here." His words were soft, and his smile warm. For the first time in years, someone spoke to her kindly. Joy sat on the bed, still trembling. "Thank you," she whispered. Days passed. Joy cooked, cleaned, and helped Daniel move around. She expected him to be harsh or angry, but he was always kind. He told her stories, asked about her dreams, and listened when she spoke, something her stepmother never did. One evening, after dinner, Joy asked quietly, "Daniel, were you always like this?" pointing to his crippled legs. Daniel smiled faintly. "No," he said. "Once, I could walk and even ride horses. I lived in the city with my parents, who were wealthy traders. But one night, thieves attacked our home. They took everything and set it on fire. My parents died, and I barely escaped with my life. I was hit by a falling beam, and my legs were damaged forever." Joy's eyes widened in shock. "That's terrible. I'm so sorry." Daniel nodded. "I came here to live quietly. People see me as a crippled beggar, but I am not as poor as they think." Joy didn't understand. "What do you mean?" Daniel looked toward the old chest near his bed. "I have a secret, Joy. Inside that box are papers, documents that belong to my family's property in the city. I have been waiting for the right time to reclaim what is mine. But I needed someone honest and kind to stand by me. I didn't expect it would come this way, through a forced marriage." Joy's mouth fell open. "So, you're not really a beggar?" Daniel chuckled softly. "No. I only begged because I had no one left and wanted to see who would show compassion. The world easily looks down on the weak. You were the first person who looked at me without disgust." Tears filled Joy's eyes. "I didn't want to marry you at first," she admitted. "But you've treated me better than anyone ever did. I thought my life was over, but now, I feel safe." Daniel smiled. "Thank you, Joy. Your kindness will be rewarded someday." From that day, their bond grew stronger. Joy would sing while cooking, and Daniel would tell her funny stories from his past. Slowly, laughter returned to their small house. But back in the village, Madame Clara was furious. She had expected Joy to come crawling back, begging for food or help. Instead, she heard rumors that Joy was living peacefully with the cripple. That made her angry. One afternoon, Clara met Madame Rose again. "That useless girl is still happy," she hissed. "I need to make sure she suffers." Rose whispered, "What will you do?" Clara's eyes glowed with evil. "I will send my nephew, Jude. He will pretend to be a helper and steal whatever little they have. I'll make sure Joy regrets ever being born." Meanwhile, Daniel began to teach Joy how to read and write using an old book he had kept from his childhood. She was a fast learner. "You're intelligent," Daniel said proudly. "When I recover what's mine, I'll make sure you never live in poverty again." Joy smiled shyly. "Even if you had nothing, I'd still stay. You're the only one who ever showed me love." That night, as they sat under the moonlight, a cold wind blew through the trees. Daniel suddenly looked serious. "Joy, if anything ever happens to me, promise me you'll open the chest and take the papers to the city lawyer named Mr. Benson. He will know what to do." Joy frowned. "Why would something happen to you?" He sighed. "I've been seeing strange faces around the house lately. I think someone is watching us." Joy shivered. "Could it be my stepmother?" Daniel didn't answer. He only looked into the distance, his eyes dark with worry. Later that night, while Joy slept, Daniel heard a noise outside. He struggled to the door and saw a shadow moving near the window. Before he could speak, a hand struck him on the head, and he fell to the floor. When Joy woke up, Daniel was gone. When Joy woke up that morning, the house was strangely quiet. She looked around, calling softly, "Daniel! Daniel!" There was no answer. His crutch was still leaning against the wall, and the door was half open. Panic filled her heart. She rushed outside, searching around the compound, but there was no sign of him. Only footprints in the dust, too many for one man. Joy's heart began to race. "Oh no," she whispered. "Someone has taken him." She remembered Daniel's words the night before, "If anything happens to me, open the chest." With trembling hands, she went to the small box near the bed and opened it. Inside were a few folded papers, a faded photograph, and a sealed letter. Joy opened the letter. It was written in Daniel's handwriting. If you are reading this, Joy, it means danger has come. Inside this box are the documents to my family's land and business in the city. Take them to Mr. Benson, the lawyer. He will help you. Trust no one, especially your stepmother. Joy's hands shook as she folded the letter. She knew what she had to do. She packed the papers carefully in a cloth, locked the door, and started walking toward the village. But as she reached the main road, she heard familiar laughter, Madame Clara's voice. "Well, look who we have here." Clara sneered as she stepped out from behind a tree with her nephew Jude. "Where are you going, my dear daughter?" Joy glared at her stepmother for the first time in her life. "Where is Daniel?" she demanded. Clara smirked. "Oh, the cripple. My nephew took care of him. He'll never bother anyone again. You should thank me. I freed you from that beggar." Joy's knees went weak. "You hurt him." Clara laughed coldly. "You're just like your foolish mother, always crying. Hand over whatever that man left you. I know he had something valuable." Joy clutched the cloth against her chest. "Never." Clara's face darkened. "Jude, take it from her." Jude stepped forward, but before he could touch her, a loud voice shouted, "Stop right there!" Everyone turned. It was Daniel, leaning on his crutch, but now dressed in clean clothes, riding at the back of a cart driven by 2 policemen. Joy gasped in relief. "Daniel!" Clara's face turned pale. "What? How?" Daniel pointed at her. "You thought I was weak and helpless, didn't you? But I'm not the man you think I am. I am Daniel Obinna, the rightful heir to the Obinna Trading Company in the city. And you, Clara, just exposed your wickedness before everyone." The policeman grabbed Clara and Jude as the villagers gathered to watch. Clara struggled and shouted, "This can't be true. He's just a cripple." Daniel looked straight into her eyes. "A cripple, yes, but not poor. Your greed and cruelty have been your downfall." Joy ran to Daniel, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I thought I lost you." He smiled weakly. "They attacked me at night, but I escaped and went to the police. I told them everything. You were brave, Joy. You followed your heart." Clara and her nephew were taken away, shouting and crying. The villagers who once mocked Joy now bowed their heads in shame. Daniel turned to the crowd. "You all laughed at her because she married a cripple, but she showed more love and loyalty than any of you." Weeks later, Daniel and Joy traveled to the city together. Mr. Benson helped Daniel recover his family's property. He built a beautiful house and opened a new business, and Joy stood by his side as his wife, not out of pity, but out of love. Daniel's health improved, and though he still used his crutch, his spirit was strong. Joy became educated and learned how to manage the business with him. One evening, as they sat on the balcony watching the sunset, Daniel took her hand. "Joy," he said softly, "you were once forced to marry a crippled beggar, but now you are the queen of my heart." Joy smiled, tears of happiness shining in her eyes. "And you are my miracle, Daniel. You taught me that love isn't about wealth or looks, but about kindness." The wind blew gently through the curtains as they sat together, 2 souls who had found peace after pain. From that day, the story of the orphan and the beggar spread across the village, not as a tale of shame, but as one of true love, patience, and destiny.